A stunning shakeup in the world of golf is getting a lot of criticism this morning as the PGA Tour and European Tour plan to merge with the breakaway LIV Golf Tour backed by Saudi Arabia. Yesterday's announcement was sudden and it was unexpected, critics calling it a Saudi takeover of men's professional golf. Manuel Bojorquez has more now from Miami.
This ultimately is a decision that I think is in the best interest of all of the members of the PGA Tour.
It's a union that seemed unimaginable, but one PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan is doubling down on.
How did we go from, a confrontation to now being partners? We just realized that we were better off together than we were fighting or apart.
Last year, the Saudi Arabian government launched LIV to rival the PGA Tour, offering hundreds of millions of dollars to the world's top players. Notable champions splintered off, leading to a bitter divide.
I think that what they've done is they've turned their back on what has allowed them to get to this position.
The guys who stayed loyal to the PGA Tour, it's kind of kicking the teeth for them.
Players on tour reacted to Tuesday's announcement swiftly and harshly, one calling the move hypocrisy. Some met with the commissioner late Tuesday afternoon.
I would describe the meeting as intense, certainly heated. It's been a very dynamic and complex couple of years.
Since LIV Golf's inception last June, it's drawn accusations of being tied to sports washing by the Saudi regime, a campaign of sponsoring sporting events to divert attention from a long record of human rights atrocities, including the 2018 murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi and the country's alleged ties to the 9/11 terrorist attacks, something Commissioner Monahan criticized last year.
And I would ask, any player that has left or any player that would ever consider leaving, have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour?
In a scathing statement, 9/11 Families United called the deal a betrayal Tuesday, writing PGA Tour leaders should be ashamed. It appears their concern for our loved ones was merely window dressing in their quest for money.
Circumstances change. I recognize that people are going to call me a hypocrite, and anytime I've said anything, I said it with the information I had at that moment.
I don't think there's any way around looking at the fact that this is a win for the Saudi Arabian government.
Golf Week writer David Dusek says LIV forced the PGA's hand.
So is the moral of the story the money wins?
It certainly, unfortunately, looks like in this case, then yes, if you bring up a big enough Brinks truck of money, that eventually, if you just keep bringing the trucks of money again and again and again, you're going to be able to find just about everybody's price.
So what's next? Well, Monahan says this is a framework of a deal, not a done deal yet. There are still things that have to be hammered out. What we do know is that players who joined LIV Golf and were later suspended from PGA Tour events will eventually be allowed to return, and that has angered some players who stuck by the PGA Tour. Tony?
Shock and anger, Manny. Those seem to be the two dominant emotions. Thank you very much. If I'm a player who said no to hundreds of millions of dollars, and now those groups have merged, I am very hot this morning.
Just a description of the meeting being very heated and very intense, something I always try to avoid. It's hard to understand if you've turned down the money now that they've merged together. It's hard to understand this move. And even when Jay Monahan says, I know some people may feel it's a hypocrite, we're better together or apart, many people say, how? I think people want more explanation, don't you?
Yeah, I think we have something coming up in the show.